Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. In this lecture video, I shall discuss about the remaining portion of proteins which I could not finish in my previous lecture video. In my previous lecture video, I already discussed about the primary and secondary structure of proteins. Here I shall discuss about the tertiary structure of protein. Actually, tertiary structure explains the final 3D shape of a protein, whole protein chain at which it exists in our system. From our previous discussion, we already came to know that a polypeptide chain can never be in a linear shape because the side chain of the amino acid interact with the side chain of another amino acid in the polypeptide chain, and due to these interactions between the side chain of the amino acids fold a protein into a specific three-dimensional shape. And there are 5 types of interactions between the side chain of the amino acid which made them into a specific three-dimensional shapes are these interaction: hydrophobic interaction, hydrophilic interaction, salt bridge, hydrogen bond, and disulfide bond. In our previous discussion, we already mentioned about the hydrogen bond and disulfide bond. Here we can see the symbolic representation of a protein chain in tertiary structure. I already mentioned that 5 types of interaction between the side chain of the amino acid in the polypeptide chain fold the protein into a specific three-dimensional shape like this. Here we can see 5 types of interaction. First one, disulfide bond. We already know that the disulfide bond occurs between the side chain of two cysteine amino acid in the presence of an oxidizing agent. Here if we consider this one is amino acid cysteine, this amino acid cysteine. So due to the presence of an oxidizing agent, this side chain of these two amino acid form a disulfide bond and come close to each other. Here is another disulfide bond we already mentioned. Next one is salt bridge. Actually, salt formed between the acidic and basic amino acids side chain. Here we can see a basic amino acid because the side chain of the amino acid is basic. If we consider this amino acid is acidic, in that case between the side chain of these two amino acid form a salt bridge between them. That's why these two portion come close to each other. Next one, for example, hydrogen bond. We can consider this amino acid and it is its side chain, and another amino acid is here, and the nature of the side chain we can see that they can form hydrogen bond with each other, and due to this hydrogen bond formation these two portion will come close to each other. Now come to hydrophilic interaction. Actually, hydrophilic interaction occurs between the polar amino acid with water which are present in our system. For example, these two amino acids are polar amino acid because the side chain of these two amino acids are polar. If any water molecule presents towards these two amino acids, in that case, as they are hydrophilic in nature, they are polar in nature, they will attract towards the water molecule, and due to this bending and attraction, this portion of the polypeptide chain will bend slightly. Now come to the hydrophobic interaction. Actually, hydrophobic interaction occurs between the, actually not interaction, it's one kind of repulsion between the non-polar amino acid with water. For example, these two amino acid and here these two amino acid, they are non-polar in nature because their side chain is non-polar. If water molecules is present towards this amino acid, in that case the non-polar side chain will repulse from the water molecule, and bend opposite to the water molecule, and that's why this portion and this portion of the polypeptide chain will bend slightly. And we can see due to these 5 types of interaction, a polypeptide chain never can be linear. They folded in a specific peculiar three-dimensional shape, and in this three-dimensional shape it exists in our system. In our secondary structure, we mentioned that some portion of amino acid exists as a spiral shape, which we call it as alpha helix. Some portion remain side by side, which portion is known as beta plated sheet, and sometimes three alpha helix combine each other to form triple helix. There is a basic difference between the tertiary structure of globular protein and fibrous protein. In globular protein, the tertiary structure is apparently spherical and they are compact in nature. And every protein has a specific three-dimensional shape, and it exerts its biological function in that specific shape only. For any reason, if the three-dimensional shape disrupts, in that case, that particular protein cannot perform its biological function. For the example of globular protein, we mention here myoglobin, and we can see the symbolic representation of myoglobin is here. We can see the polypeptide chain fold into a specific three-dimensional shape which is apparently spherical in nature and in compact form. The function of myoglobin is to store oxygen in our muscles. We can see the tertiary structure of myoglobin. There is a pocket in the tertiary structure, that is in the 3D shape of that myoglobin. Due to the presence of this pocket, it can store oxygen inside the pocket. That's why they can store oxygen. For any reason, if this tertiary structure or 3D structure disrupt, in that case the polypeptide chain will unfold. In that case there will be no pocket to accommodate the oxygen molecule. We can see the figure of dolphin and seal here, because we know that these two animals can remain underwater for long time, because under their skin there is a thick huge amount of myoglobin. That's why they can store huge amount of oxygen at a time, and they can remain underwater for long time. When their stored oxygen finish for their metabolic activity, in that case they jump out from water, and within short time again they go under the water. Within this short time they can store huge amount of oxygen from the environment. But the tertiary structures of fibrous proteins have long and thin shape like this. Their apparent shape is not spherical like the globular protein. They also folded into specific three-dimensional shape, but their apparent shape is long. For example, alpha keratin. Alpha keratin, one kind of fibrous protein which are present in hair, wool, skin, nails. For example, in hair, we can all know that hair looks like a long thread like, but if we examine the hair as it is made of keratin, inside the hair the polypeptide chain folded like this. Particularly in case of hair, the maximum protein chain exists as triple helix like this. Another example of fibrous protein is beta keratin, which are present in the feathers of bird. Actually, in a bird's feather, beta carotene polypeptide chain exists large amount in beta plated sheet. Now about the quaternary structure of protein. Quaternary structures occur when two or more protein subunits combine together. and combinedly they perform the biological function in our system. Now one can ask how this individual protein unit combine with each other. Of course, there may be some interaction between the units of this protein. Otherwise, it cannot be combined with each other. We already told that for the formation of a tertiary structure of one unit protein chain, in that case, 5 types of interactions are responsible between the side chain of the amino acid in the polypeptide chain. I never told you that the all 100% side chains interact with all amino acid side chain in the same polypeptide chain. There are still some side chains which did not participate in the formation of a tertiary structure, that is the folding of the polypeptide chain. Similarly, in this unit also have some unreacted side chain of amino acid. So this in the side chain, unreacted side chain, one from one unit, it can combine with another side chain of the unreacted side chain of the another unit. So that's due to this interaction, one unit can combine another unit together. And what are the types of this interaction? These type of interactions are the same as the interactions which are responsible for the formation of a tertiary structure. That is 5 types of interaction, that is hydrogen bond, disulfide bond, salt bridge, hydrophilic interaction and hydrophobic interaction. For example, hemoglobin. In case of hemoglobin, we know that hemoglobin is consists of two parts, heme and globin. Heme is iron and globin is protein. The globin protein chain fold like this, just as this is the symbolic representation, and form a tertiary structure like this. And in case of hemoglobin, they form a quaternary structure after combining 4 units of globin together. Here we can see 4 globin units, and the shape of the one single unit, we can see there is a cavity here. Inside the cavity, they can form complex with iron and can also accommodate oxygen molecule. As 4 unit combine with each other and they perform their biological functions. That's why one hemoglobin molecule at a time can carry 4 molecule of oxygen. Now about the summary of protein structure. We discussed protein structure under 5 class. Primary structure tells us about the total number of amino acid and the sequence of amino acids present in the polypeptide chain. Secondary structure tells us about the certain portion of the polypeptide chain at which it exists in our system. Actually, we saw that they exist in 3 shape, that is certain portion of polypeptide chain, coil shape, alpha helix, beta plated sheet or triple helix. Tertiary structure tells us about the compact 3-dimensional shape of the total polypeptide chain, and the shape was stabilized by interaction between the side chain of the amino acid. And quaternary structure occurs when 2 or more protein subunits combine to form a larger biologically active protein. Here we can see the 4 types structure of protein. Now about the denaturation of protein. Actually, denaturation is a process of destroying a protein by chemical and physical means. If the interaction of a 3D shaped protein is broken by any physical or chemical factor, in that case the polypeptide chain will not remain as a folded 3D shape. This will unfold like this, and this conversion is known as denaturation of protein. For example, if we pose the egg, it will be like this. Actually, this process is also one kind of denaturation. From the structural concept, we can say that after denaturation, we can destroy secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure of a protein, but the primary structure, that is the polypeptide chain, will not be affected by denaturation. Some agents, they may be chemical or physical, which are responsible for the denaturation of protein. That means that agents can destroy the interaction between the side chain of the amino acid in a polypeptide chain. These agents are known as denaturing agents. Some denaturing agents are like this: heat, acid, base, organic compounds, heavy metal, mechanical agitation. Some denaturation are reversible, while other permanently damage the protein. That means their unfolding is permanent. They cannot return to its previous stage. We already know that there are 5 types of interaction between the side chain of the amino acid in a polypeptide chain are responsible for the formation of tertiary structure. But all denaturing agents cannot disrupt 5 types of interaction. Here we mention some denaturing agents and the interactions which are affected by that denaturing agent. For example, heat, it can disrupt hydrogen bond hydrophobic interaction. Detergent can destroy hydrogen bond. Acid and bases can destroy salt bridge and hydrogen bond. Reducing agent can disrupt disulfide bond. Some heavy metals like lead, mercury, silver, they can disrupt disulfide bonds. Alcohols can disrupt hydrogen bonds, hydrophilic interactions. Mechanical agitation can disrupt hydrogen bond hydrophobic interactions. Now I shall discuss about the digestion of protein in brief, because all of you already studied about the digestion of protein in your physiology and anatomy course. Actually, when we intake protein as a food, maximum proteins are cooked food, and during cooking, some proteins are denatured, not completely denatured. Partial denaturation occurs during cooking process. When these proteins reach in stomach, at that time an enzyme acts on protein to digest. That enzyme is pepsin. This pepsin remain as a pepsinogen, and in the presence of hydrochloric acid, this pepsinogen converted to pepsin. From pepsinogen to pepsin conversion, this is one kind of denaturation, but partial denaturation. Here hydrochloric acid acts as denaturating agent. For example, the 3D shape of pepsinogen like this, okay, the tertiary structure, and due to the action of hydrochloric acid, some interaction will be disrupted by hydrochloric acid, and the 3D shape of the pepsinogen protein will be, for example, like this. And this conversion from this pepsinogen to pepsin, this is one kind of partial denaturation, because all interaction were not disrupted by hydrochloric acid. And in this 3D shape particularly only can act on protein, that is only pepsin can hydrolyze protein. Due to the action of pepsin, proteins are first denatured and then hydrolyzed. Actually, pepsin performs two actions. One is denaturation and another is hydrolysis. When pepsin acts on protein in our stomach, in that case, they completely denature the protein. That is, the polypeptide chain will be unfolded like this. And after denaturation, pepsin hydrolyze some of the peptide bonds on the polypeptide chain. Because we know that in polypeptide chain amino acids are joined by peptide bond. As it performs two functions, first denaturation and after that hydrolysis, that's why it cannot hydrolyze all polypeptide, all peptide bond. After the action of pepsin, the long chain polypeptide will be converted to short polypeptide chain. It will be fragmented like this. And after peristaltic movement, this short polypeptide chain will reach in small intestine, and in small intestinal area, and another enzyme trypsin will be secreted, and by the action of trypsin some peptide bonds on this short polypeptide chain will be hydrolyzed, and after hydrolysis they will be converted to peptides, many peptides like this symbolic representation like this. These peptides are maybe dipeptide, tripeptide, tetrapeptide like this. And after that another enzyme will be secreted, that is chymotrypsin, and chymotrypsin will act on these peptides, that is the di, tri, tetrapeptides, and chymotrypsin can hydrolyze the peptide bonds in these peptides, and after hydrolysis all amino acid will be separated. That is, after digestion of protein we will get all the amino acids separately which were involved in the formation of that protein. So after digestion, this amino acid will be absorbed through the intestinal wall and will reach to our blood, and through blood this amino acid will be distributed throughout the body, and after that they will enter in our cell. After entering in the cell, some of the amino acid will be utilized for the formation of human protein, and the remaining amino acid will be metabolized inside the cell to produce energy for our body. That's all for today. In my next lecture video, I shall complete my lecture on protein. If you like my lecture video, then don't forget to click the like button. You can also share this video to your friends and can also put your comments. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Your subscription will encourage me to make more lecture videos for you all. Thank you.